Hi, my name's Neil. I'm an industrial and interactions design student from Hong Kong. I'm interested in using interdisciplinary designs as a means of solving problems and completing briefs through novel and efficient means. One central belief I hold in my design practice is acknowledging that once designs and artifacts enter the real world, people will always interact with those designs in unpredictable and unforeseen ways. For this reason, I find great joy in observing others' behavior and reading theories on how humans interact with the outside world. In my free time, I enjoy hiking and playing the guitar. This is Dialectic of the City. So, London is an ancient epicenter of material dialectics, an endlessly complicated amalgamation of shapes, cultures, systems, and stories. My collection will focus on the theme of behavior of individuals in society in London, based on the hints and phenomena of the city. Here's my first proof in patina. A bench on the overground bears a patina that proves countless people have sat on it. Parts of the wooden seat have been smoothed and worn down by many commuters. This is a documentation and a physical reflection of individuals and behavior in society. The next, self-spoken stories. In Faraday House, I followed drops of blood to a drop of blood on a piece of foam core. This scene single-handedly describes the story of an architecture student injuring themselves during their work. I think in the city there are lots of such scenes. Natural and not. Moss grows on a car window. The strange image of green emerging from plastic, steel, and glass testifies to nature's implicit and inescapable relationship to the life of humans. Wherever we do not intervene, nature will silently persevere. Chaos and harmony, this is one of my very favorites. A brick full of cigarettes speaks of a tendency to subconsciously imitate other people's behavior, forming unspoken agreements and creating natural order in the chaotic setting of a city. Risk and desire. Tags in highly visible areas don't only represent individual identities and disregard for the law, they also embody our collective desire to be seen, heard, and remembered by others. Finally, working on history, Clem is a near 100-year-old truck that is being maintained by one of my friends who goes to Imperial College London, as well as a small team, all volunteers. I think this kind of reflects on the way that city dwellers interact with their environments and their homes, maintaining them, building them, rebuilding them, personifying them. It's almost like a relationship between two people. So here are the different possible install locations. Online. Since this collection focuses on reflections and hints on behavior of individuals and society, I thought that it would be appropriate that these reflections should be curated by the participants of society. So I kind of made a mock-up of this website where individuals could upload photos that belong to these categories, moment, patina, behavior, to a live feed. And this feed could become a means of seeing the pulse of the city, constantly reflecting local events and minute details of everyday life. The next install location would be the VNA. So this concept is called behavioral voyeurs. Peepholes will be installed in a dark room, behind which live projections of the outside world will be played. The filming locations will be purposefully curated to encourage certain behavior that would be hard to notice in the context of everyday life. For example, this. You see our cigarette brick, and I made a little rendering of a pedestal with a brick on it next to a city bench. You'd perhaps film this bait and you will observe people behaving in ways that you might not notice during your everyday routine. On the road, this concept's called Proof We Exist, and it was inspired by a World War II story where a German Me 107 crash landed in Duxford. This airplane was collected by Americans and brought around the US and Canada as part of the fundraising efforts for the British war effort. Spectators could make a small donation to scrawl their name into the fuselage of the plane. I kind of interpreted this as a means of collective journaling, not only documenting your name, but also your desires and your values. And it gave me this concept of a historian carnival, or a historic carnival. So my on-the-road concept would resemble a carnival of objects whose purpose would be to be vandalized, marked, or patinaed by any means participants found necessary. At this traveling carnival, every object would slowly be transformed into documents of people's names and their wills to be seen and remembered. They would almost become journals of sorts. So I ended up choosing behavioral voyeurs. I thought this was the concept with the most potential, and it also fit my own beliefs about design the best. And here's a quick shot from Rear Window. Great film. Here's my inspirations. So a couple years ago I came across this GIF of a park bench on the internet. You can see how it works as a congregation point, a place to wait, a bench, a place to repair your bike, play games. I mean, it's just a seat, but people will use it in every way that they can. I found it interesting. My next inspiration is Naoto Fukazawa, he's on the design advisory board for Muji, and he was one of the founding members of the group that eventually became IDEO. He focuses his work on material phenomena, behavior, and interaction design. And here's an illustration that he did. I like to tell a story when I encounter things like this. So, if you could imagine yourself walking down a pathway in the woods, all of the sticks on the side of the path are not designed. They're just natural phenomena. They're just natural objects that you find there. But if you see a wolf approaching you, the moment you pick up a stick in self-defense is a moment of design. You don't actually have to change the material for you to be changing the purpose of an object. And that's kind of what Fukazawa is illustrating here. Those tiles weren't laid to be a rest for an umbrella, but since someone has laid their umbrella there, they have designed the environment in a way that those who fabricated it did not intend. My next inspiration is a photo series called The Park. So in Japanese it would be called Koen. So in 1979, Kohei Yoshiyuki exhibited The Park. He used a 35mm camera with infrared film and flash to document the people who gathered in Tokyo's parks at night for clandestine trysts, as well as the many spectators lurking in the bushes who watched and sometimes participated in these couplings. This work focuses on the subject of intimacy between gay and straight couples and the voyeurs who stalked them. The ghostly and overexposed images represent a gaze without subjectivity and reflect on intimacy only accessible to an unseen observer. Here are some of the images. So, one of my objectives is to produce a parasocial relationship between observer and observed as a means to unveil people's true and authentic interactions with the material phenomena of London. Through this, we can better understand the dialectic of the city, of human condition in the city, and of ourselves. Um, this one-way relationship where you can see very natural behavior and they cannot see you creates an authentic, you're observing something authentic. So here's some of the theory. To understand our behavior and our conditions, I'll rely on philosophical theories of Hegel and Heidegger. Some of these theories I've already introduced, particularly of Hegelian dialectics and Heidegger's Dasein and Zuhanden, what is at hand. To simplify Heidegger's writing and to narrow it down to subjects that I'd want to focus on, I can talk about Dasein and Zuhanden. If we're going to go back to the story about the wolf, Zuhanden would be what is at hand, the stick that is on the ground. Dasein would be you. When you pick up the stick, you are changing the world, not structurally, but as you experience it. Here's Hegel's dialectics. So thesis, antithesis, synthesis. We can use the cigarette brick as an example for this. The brick could be a thesis, sort of the condition that you're exposed to. The antithesis would be you with your cigarette. The moment you put the cigarette onto the brick, it would be a synthesis. It becomes something new. And this synthesis would become the new thesis. When someone else comes up to that brick smoking their cigarette, they will see that someone else has placed their cigarette there, and they'll probably do the same. So Hegelian dialectics become this layered and layered and layered set of interactions that form urban environments as well as human life. This is something I want to understand through my installation. So here are the required materials. 6 IR long-distance cameras, infrared surveillance cameras with effective range of 4 kilometers will enable us to capture people behaving naturally at any time of day. We will be able to capture strikingly intimate moments and behaviors. And you can see this ghostly image of a man and his dog. It's strangely intimate. He clearly doesn't know that he's being observed. And he's acting naturally. 6 high-power digital projectors. Those images that we collect with the cameras will be projected into dark rooms, which will be viewed through discrete peepholes by one or a few spectators at a time. Here's the practice. The exhibition will be designed in such a way that spectators will be zigzagging through dark hallways and viewing the behavioral bait with the hypervigilance of a voyeur. There will be small alcoves throughout the installation, which the projections can be viewed discreetly. So you're supposed to behave like these guys. So the exhibition will be designed in such a way that spectators will be zigzagging through dark hallways, discreetly ducking into alcoves to view projections of others with the hypervigilance of a voyeur. Here's our floor plan. So you'll enter through here, duck in here and look at the projections on this wall. And you'll just zigzag through this dark environment. You'll exit through here. Here's a cleaner floor plan. And here's a rendering of some of those peepholes. So you walk up to the peephole and you view it. And you're seeing through this camera someone tying their shoe. And you're viewing through the peephole and you leave. And you start snaking your way through the installation. So while you're in the gallery, You'll intently observe the behavior of others and the phenomena of London through the peepholes. So you're walking through, and at the end of the gallery, you'll see footage of yourself peering through the last peephole. This is a reminder to be ever aware of the phenomena that surround you and your connection to every other inhabitant of the city. So you're seeing this behavioral bait, you're seeing this natural phenomena of the city, and then you're seeing yourself. You're realizing you're part of it. And you're realizing when you're seeing others in the environment of the city, you're seeing your own behavior as well. There you are. Thank you very much.